Welcome to Access a Trader, the #1 community for those who are committed to taking control of their trading in order to achieve success, profitability, and longevity. Thank you for joining us. Here's Dan Shapiro to help you find your edge, master your process, and own your future.
Hey guys, good evening everybody. Welcome to another edition of the AccessATrader.com nightly wrap-up show. Got to catch your breath there for a second. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope everybody had a good session. We'll talk about that in a second. Intense, super duper intense. But first, folks, if you can do me a favor, and if you like the content, if you get value from what we do, all I ask is take a moment out. Click a like, support the channel, subscribe, share, and everything else I will hopefully continue to handle, help you guys out. So all I kept on hearing this weekend, two sides, right? Two sides. We were either going to crash on Monday, or it was the last day basically to buy stocks. It was a generational buying opportunity. Guys, why does everything have to be so extreme? It was just another trading day. Okay. It was literally just another trading day. I don't know where this whole all or nothing attitude has come. It's like the first play of the game in the NFL season. Your NFL team just got a touchback from their own 20, 25-yard line, whatever the hell the new rule is. And then the first play, you're going for a Hail Mary. It makes absolutely no sense. Folks, again, you have thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of trading days. That's all they are. You don't need to sensationalize everything. It's not all or nothing. You got to grind it out, right? That's what it is. You got to grind it out. And again, you don't realize this, but the market is never as good or bad as you think. The universe kind of establishes a foundation that kind of works out in between. And today, exactly, we kind of saw that. And again, a lot of news developments. The final number, again, compared to where we were pre-market, right? And we talked about this over the weekend, that if there was no news, if there was absolutely no news, we were going to get another gap down. And the problem was there was news over the weekend. After I recorded the video, he started seeing a lot of the smaller countries basically said, all right, we give in, right? We give in. We're good. We're good. We don't want no problems. We're good. But the big EU countries, obviously China, well, nothing. There was absolutely nothing. And because of the lack of movement in the major countries involved in this trade war, well, we gapped down another, 1,000 points, 1,500 points. And it looked like, well, here we go again. To the Bulls' credit, they fought back, right? They fought back. We'll get to the pivots in a second. Just insane, absolutely insane. They fought back. Led by the semiconductors, right? Led by the semiconductors. Matter of fact, AVGO announced a pretty big, substantial buyback after the close. Maybe that's why the futures are popping. Nasdaq futures are popping. But you had a really good rally back in the Nasdaq 100. And you could see it here from the pre-market lows, right? From the pre-market lows, at one point we were really trucking. And, then we started seeing some headlines. And this was the interesting one. And before we even get to that, if you've been kind of following along on social media throughout the weekend, I had a very, very specific plan. And we implemented that plan. I was very, very proud of us today. We implemented that plan very, very well. And I basically said, if we were going to get a gap up, right? If we're going to get a gap up 600, 700, 800 points on the NASDAQ, I was going to look for 10 a.m., right? 10 a.m. channels for stocks that were taking out their opening range lows, okay? And if we gap down, right? Gap down, because again, this was the third day of a major gap down. The value was after 10 o'clock, right? I talked about buying the dip with no safety net versus, for example, buying 10 a.m. highs because you're using the previous 60-minute candle as your out. So I had a plan today. I wanted to get long above the 10 a.m. highs. And right when I started putting in pivots, right when I started putting in pivots, you started seeing, and these were all the pivots of the day. We started seeing the market, get a little bit firmer. And these were literally the only pivots of the day. And I started seeing, some pretty decent option flow come in. And then we got long, right? We got long. Pretty much everything confirmed at the same time, right? And you saw a headline. It wasn't confirmed, but you saw a headline that the NEC director has it the chatter was that the White House was going to give all the countries not named China a 90-day, right? A 90-day pause, right? 90-day pause in their newfound taxes, right? And as you can imagine, everything absolutely exploded. Like everything absolutely exploded. And the cool part about that explosion, we were already long, right? We were already long because these stocks were already taken out the previous candles. And I'll tell you, this is one of the most aggressive moves, okay, that I could remember in a very, very long time. I mean, I'm talking about in a very, very long time in such a short period of time. And later in the day, right? Later in the day, you had the White House come out and say, hey, these rumors are absolutely false. Okay, there is absolutely no truth to us extending all these other countries a 90-day grace period to kind of figure things out. So the market had every opportunity to absolutely get killed. Okay, that headline could have been like, well, let's sell everything, right? We just rallied on this headline, this fake headline, and now let's sell that headline. And it didn't happen. Okay, it absolutely didn't happen, which was very, very bullish. The second thing, right? The second thing that we had throughout the day that you kind of stood up and really took notice, Trump did come out, okay? And this is where tomorrow is going to be very, very tricky, okay? Trump came out tomorrow, this afternoon and said, we are giving China, right? Not Afghanistan or Kazakhstan or Canada. We're giving China, who's swinging the same size, you know what, as we are, okay? We're giving them 24 hours to drop their 34% tax on us. Because if we don't get that within 24 hours, we are going to implement an additional 50% as of April the 9th. Yikes, right? The plot thickens. So tomorrow, again, raise your hand if you think China is going to cave in overnight. Right? So tomorrow, if you thought today was aggressive, and again, trying to put it into perspective, if you were an active participant today in the market, you kind of saw what we went through today. It was insane, absolutely panic buying at one point. If you didn't participate in today's market, trying to explain what happened is like me trying to explain to you, right, to a blind person what the color red is. Me trying to explain to somebody what win looks like, right? It was absolutely, it's like one of those moments in your trading career, you had to be there to really understand. Because if you look at the final numbers, there's no way in hell you would ever understand the magnitude, okay, of today's day. Dow was only down 300 points. The S&P 500 was only down 11, and the NASDAQ was up 15 points. It looks like on the surface like a really quiet day. Folks, the range for the Qs today, just to give you an idea, the range for the Qs were from 402 to 443. Take a step back and really think what I just said. From 402 to 443. Yes, that's how crazy today's session was. Today was led by semiconductors, which again, it makes total sense. Again, any type of relief rally, the group that got absolutely hosed the most is going to put up a fight. You had really, really good moves today. Avago, like I said, Avago in the regular session was already up 7. It's getting a nice pop today on a buyback. Nvidia that got absolutely murdered. Put up a really, really nice fight today. I caught Nvidia really, really well today. Again, we'll get to the pivots in a second. The one stock, man, that continues to be just absolutely destroyed, and it's basically got taken down $650 billion worth of market value in the last 3 days, is Apple. No bueno, man. They are really exposed to everybody, and especially to China. So this game of chicken that we're having with China, that Trump's having with China in the next 24 hours, it's going to be very, very important. Again, was this the bottom? Was this not the bottom? Again, does it really make a difference? But the one thing that I want to really, I don't want to use the word stress, but something I want to convey. If this was truly a bottom, we would have went from down 1,000 on the NASDAQ to being up 500 to 1,000 on the NASDAQ. That's just kind of what it is. It was too much of we put up a good fight, a decent amount of fight, not to get killed day 3. It just wasn't enough. So it doesn't feel like it as well. And remember, this isn't a 1 or 2 day thing. This is a moving, fluid situation. This is political, monetary, standoff. So this is not going to end in 1 or 2 days, but tomorrow is going to be a violent day. That's 100%. If you think today was crazy, tomorrow is going to be absolutely nuts. Trump gave China a 24-hour ultimatum. I don't see how this ends well or ends in an orderly fashion, but kind of it is what it is. Again, after the close, futures are popping a little bit. Q's up about 3-4 points. We'll see how that plays out. But at least for tomorrow, you have at least channels. It's still kind of impossible to make an orderly watch list like we talked about today and morning strategy. Let the channels develop, right? Let the channels develop, and if they start bouncing, we have the channels at 10 o'clock to confirm to get things going. So tomorrow is kind of the same thing. Depending how we open, your guess is as good as mine. Tomorrow we could be up 2%, 3%, and we could be down 3%. Who the hell knows what's going to happen overnight? But I promise you, we will not open up flat. That is for sure. So here are the pivots of the day, okay? Tesla, 235.36 needs to build. And the reason why 235.36 was the channel, look at pre-market, right? Let me show you on the 60-minute view. So this is a 3. I'm pretty much giving it away. But you see the high here? 235.36, 235, right? Once it got above 235 and that headline came in that Hazlitt thought that, they said that we're going to give basically a 90-day grace period. This thing went from 235, folks, all the way up to 252 in a matter of 5 minutes, right? Would you guys say 5 minutes? And absolutely just an insane move on Tesla. Meta went absolutely berserk. 497.40 needs to build. I would say so. This thing went to almost 540. Just an incredible move here. And by the way, I missed this bounce. Guys, when you have a chance, take a look what the low of the day was. Okay, for all you guys at home, take a look what the low of the day is. 214 was the lower Bollinger Band. I know a lot of you guys caught this bounce. Congratulations. It went from 214 to 250s. Absolutely amazing. MSTR, I traded MSTR off the opening range with Bitcoin kind of cracking. Nothing like 2-3 points, nothing crazy. NVIDIA was awesome. 95 needs to confirm the opening range. I got long off 95, but I said it was 99. Went to almost 102, but crazy. So here is basically it. 95 needs to build. It actually went to almost 102. You had Tesla off the bounce. Went to 252. I mean, just intense, absolutely intense. PLTR, I forgot about PLTR. I traded PLTR as well. 71.45 needs to build. I maybe made a couple of points on it. I sold it literally 30 seconds before this headline kicked in and went up another 8 points, which I almost threw up. Meta was huge. 497.40 needs to build. Went up to almost 540. Just incredible. Sometimes, again, guys, I say this all the time. Luck does play a part in this game. It absolutely does, okay? But it's impossible to get lucky if you're not prepared. So if we weren't prepared for these pivots, right? If we weren't prepared, there's no possible way you would have gotten. There's no way, unless you're chasing at random prices, and that's a no-go. If you guys remember, in the beginning of March, it felt like the first week I kept on shorting into supply, and then Trump would come out with some sort of positive tariff news, which obviously never played out, and I kept on getting squeezed. Well, it kind of balances out, right? It kind of balances out. So don't ever stress out. Sometimes you'll be on the right side of the headline. Sometimes you'll be on the wrong side of the headline. But if you're not prepared technically for it, you will get zero. And that's the name of the game. Tomorrow, again, guys, get your rest, get you plenty of night's sleep, drink a lot of water, because tomorrow is going to be on. Guys, have a great night, everybody. God bless. And with God's help, I'll see you all in the field tomorrow.